Hi there, Andre here from Peak Motorcycles. This is going to be one of my short Wednesday afternoon videos, and I'm going to talk about this, which might not be that exciting, but it's a motorcycle dolly. So this is a piece of metal that has 4 wheels on that you can get a centre stand on for a motorcycle so you can move it around the garage. Now I've been thinking about getting one for a while for my GS, but just hadn't got around to finding one that I thought would really be up to the job. A friend of mine had a change of circumstances and asked me if I could store his 1200 GS for a while. And while I've got that now in the garage, those of you might have seen it in the background in some of the videos, it has taken up quite a lot of space, and it would be useful to just manoeuvre it right into a corner. So I thought this would be a good opportunity to get a dolly. I looked around, there do seem to be a lot on the market which are more designed for scooters. So they have a lower weight capacity, and I guess it's for people who have limited storage space, they have a scooter with a centre stand and they just want to be able to push it out of the way. For the R1200 GS, it's a much heavier bike. It's about 250 kilos before you start adding things to it. So what I needed was a dolly that would not only cope with a bike that's 250 kilos, but also that would have good enough casters that I could push it around on my fairly rough garage floor. So this is what I found. So this comes from a company called Lamberts Engineering here in the UK. It is made from 6mm mild steel, which has been folded. It's been powder coated. It has 4 casters on it, and the casters are rated to 350 kilos. And they say that the dolly itself has been tested to 275, which sounds about the weight, I think, of a BMW R1250 or 1200 GS Adventure. So just for the standard GS, I'm hoping that this will be more than enough. Now, generally, I wouldn't do a video about something like this that I just bought, because it is what it is, it does what it does. It's not that exciting, and unless you have a garage where you're trying to manoeuvre around bikes with centre stands, you wouldn't even need one. The problem with this is that I can't make it fit the GS. And the problem is that the gap between the rear wheel, which kind of comes in here, and the edge of the dolly means that there isn't enough space to get the stand down because it hits there. I will show you that very quickly in a moment. But just while it's here, so what I'm actually doing, I did ask if, well, on the one hand, I did ask if I could return it, but actually it does seem really solid, and it's certainly the best example that I've found of something like this. So I would like to make it work rather than just send it back. So I'm going to take a rather rash move, and what I'm going to do is I'm actually just going to cut. I'm just going to cut here with an angle grinder on one side to open this gap up, hopefully wide enough that I can fit the rear tyre into there, and then it will be, I'll be able to get the centre stand down. So yeah, so my Wednesday short this week is to take an angle grinder to this brand new 6mm steel motorcycle dolly for a centre stand to see if I can make it fit an R1200 GS. So here we go. So this is kind of the problem. The problem is that when the dolly is under the bike, the side stand doesn't hit on it, and that is as far back as it will go up against the wheel. So there's no chance that that's going to move. I did raise this with them, and they said, well, try standing it up or maybe trying to put it down. But actually, even when it's standing up, it really is no easier when it's in place. And there's also not enough space to pull the dolly out, get the centre stand halfway down, push it underneath and slide it in and then put it up. I mean, maybe if you had 2 people and a lot of patience, but honestly, I'm mostly doing this on my own in the garage, so I need to find a better solution. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to measure the width of the rear wheel, I'm going to mark that up, and then I'm going to cut it. So I'm actually going to measure this from the far side just because it's easier to get to. I'm not sure whether my calipers will go big enough. Oh, actually just about. So actually that's almost round on there, and that's on about 160mm. So I need to cut a channel 160mm into the side of the dolly. So this is the piece that I want to cut out. So I'm thinking actually it needs to be at least as wide as that. So I'm actually thinking I'll probably just take it from the corner there. I mean, that's the widest point of the tie. It doesn't need to be that wide all the way down. So if I take it from the corner there, kind of bring it up at an angle, then I think that should be good. So for this first one, basically draw that. So that's the line that I'm going to cut. And then on this side, exactly the same. So that's it. So that should give me enough space to easily fit the wheel in to be able to get it on the dolly. So angle grinder time. So I have this clamped so I can cut it stably, and what I thought I would just check was that these angles were the same because they didn't look quite identical, and you know, sometimes these things are nice if they are properly symmetrical. Oh, you know what, that was pretty close. So yeah, I'm gonna cut these 2 with the angle grinder now. Okay, so I think that's about as far as I can go without nicking the top of that, and I think that's needed for strength. So I'm going to flip it over and just cut out that last bit. Okay, that one is almost out. This one is a slightly less convenient angle. I think from there, that should just bend out, and then I'll tidy it up. There we go, lovely. So there we go, that's now got a, well, soft enough edge on it. Just a bit of the powder coating still coming off there. Actually, give it one more. So I will finish that up nicely and then paint it up so it doesn't rust. But I think I'm now ready to try it on the bike. So I'm now going to try putting the bike on it. Now I'll be honest here, I am cheating a little bit because I've tried this already. My battery went flat in my ZV-1 when I was nearly done and I ran out of spare batteries. So I thought I'd do it anyway. I've discovered two other quite significant design flaws. Well, it's the same flaw, but it applies twice. First of all, to get it on, it does work. So if I lift the bike up, there we go. I can slide that under with my foot a bit further. There we go. So that bit actually works pretty well. There we go. There is definitely enough clearance, hopefully you can see that, to lift it up. But there's a few things. So first of all, it actually has to go quite a long way under so that the arm of the centre stand is actually outside it. The other thing is that it could really do with locking casters. On the one hand for picking it up, because as you try and push this down, it tries to slide away underneath the bike. The second problem with it is trying to get it off, because if you can't lock the casters, you can't get it off. But anyway, let me put it up and you can see what that's like. Oh, there we go. Okay, so now that's up. The bit that it does very well is the movement. So I can now slide this around on my garage floor and it will move actually pretty easily. There we go. So these casters are actually of quite good quality. I think these are rated, as I've said, and the fact that all the weight is at one end and at the side so that this clears it means that they're not giving out under pressure. Now to get it off, I kind of struggled with this, and actually I had to put a bit of wood in front of the front wheels, step on that so it didn't move away, and then had 3 goes and finally got it off. So I think what I'm going to do as a final modification is I'm going to order some more of these wheels and get them with the locking casters. Now what I'm not sure of is whether the locks on them will actually clear the side of here, but I think I could have them pointing out, lock them off and see if that works. Yeah, it'll do for now. It will serve its purpose. I'll be able to store the bike on it. So here goes for getting it off. I've put a bit of metal under the wheels and then that bit of wood that I'll stand off, and hopefully I can push this off. Nope. Nope. And then the problem, you see, it's just got that much weight behind it that it's really hard to push off the centre stand. I'll pull it back and have another go. That bit at least is easy. Right, I'll try again. There we go. So yeah, not having locking wheels is a real problem. So yeah, so the other thing I thought of was to just turn it around like that and roll the back wheel onto it. Now I know this will still have the problem with not having locking wheels. Oh. There we go. But once that's on, if I put the side stand down, that would at least mean, well, no, that doesn't really work either. So it was a nice idea that I thought maybe if the back wheel was up on there, that it would be possible to move that forwards and back. Maybe it would if I lift it. And yeah, that does work, but it's not terribly stable or safe, I expect. The bike is in gear, I think. Yeah, the bike is in first, so it won't go anywhere on there. But actually just trying to maneuver it, it could easily slip away. It's not too bad with the side stand down, but yeah, not great really, but it will do what I need it to do. So there you go, that is my video on the Lamberts engineering motorcycle dolly. I was in two minds as to whether or not to put this video out, because generally I will only do videos on things that I use. If I come across something that I don't think is really up to scratch, I'd rather say nothing than say bad things about it. I was always brought up, if you can't think of anything nice to say, don't say anything. There are some good things about this dolly. So on the one hand, it's made from this 6mm steel, which is very solid. It can definitely take the weight of a GS. But in terms of a design now, and I did query this with them, and they said they've had no complaints. So unless the 1200 GS is particularly special, and nobody else has a problem with not being able to lock the wheels off, which I find impossible to believe, because every bike would at least have the problem with the locking wheel nuts. Or maybe they just haven't sold any others. If you are looking for something that's robust enough to move a GS, this will definitely do it. The reason I am still putting this video up is that I think I couldn't find anything else for this price that would do the same thing. If you know of any other products that I can get in the UK, and they are quite heavy, so I don't think international shipping is really an option. But if you can think of any other products in the UK that would do something similar to this, that would work with a GS, so we're talking about a 275 kilo load capacity, then yeah, let me know and I'll get one and do a review. What I'm going to do with this is I'm going to get some additional casters. I know you can get these off eBay, and I will get some that have locks on them. So I'll replace at least 2, if not all 4 of the wheels with locking casters. The other thing I'll do is I'll get a rubber pad just to put on here, because I've put this bike on here twice and already it's going through the powder coat. Structurally, it is an excellent product. The casters are strong enough, the steel is thick enough, and it will support the weight of the bike. Functionally, I think, and sorry guys at Lamberts Engineering, I think it's a terrible product. I think it wouldn't have cost much more to put locking casters on it. And if anyone's ever actually tried to put a motorbike on a centre stand, you know that it's going to move when you put it on or you take it off. Equally, the thing about the rear wheel, these handles don't actually do anything, and to have that there doesn't really add anything. It was easy enough to cut off, but when I raised it as being a problem, they said, well, you could cut it, which kind of isn't what you'd expect when you buy something brand new. So given that they've kept their sale, I did pay my money for it. I'm going to keep it. It's kind of hard to return it after you've cut a big section out of it. And yeah, I'll probably have to spend another 10 or 20 pounds making it fit for purpose. So if you don't mind a project and you want a good starting point, I can definitely recommend the Lamberts Engineering heavy duty dolly for motorcycles. If you actually just want to buy something new that works, then I think you should look somewhere else. If I can find where that somewhere else is, I'll let you know. Anyway, hope this has been interesting and useful, watching me struggle with this infernal thing in my garage. If it has, please like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Thanks for watching.